Hello, class. These are our notes for area of triangles. So we started out here. I've got three different ways triangles can look that you might see, just so we can review how to find our base and height. So the area of a triangle, this first one's going to be a right triangle. Um, and what looks like the bottom of my triangle is the base. And then connected to the base by a right angle is the height. So your height and base must be perpendicular. They must make a right angle. That word height looks super messy, so we're going to fix it. So the base has got to be perpendicular to the height. That's something that we're looking for. And so on this one, like they are literally forming that right angle. So on the next one, this is going to be the base of my triangle again, but the height needs to measure how tall the triangle is. So it has to start at the top and it needs to connect to the base and it needs to form that right angle. So we're going to go ahead and dot that in. So my height would look like this on the second one. And the third one is kind of the weird case. So we know that this is going to be the base of our triangle at the bottom. And if we turn our paper, I know that it changes things, right? If I turn my paper now, this is the base and this is the height, but that's totally fine. It's okay. We just need a way to talk about them in this orientation we have right now. And so my height needs to make a right angle with the base and it has to measure how tall this is. So this is the top point of my triangle, but it needs to make a right angle with my base. So I would need to draw a perpendicular there. And then this would connect out with that base as well. So it's not connected to the base, but the perpendicular, when I draw this in, when I draw in those dotted lines, it's connecting it then. So here's my base, here's my height. So three different ways that these can look. So the area for all of them is area equals 1/2 base times height. Another way to write that is base times height divided by 2. So I'm finding that this seems to be easier for students, but both of these are really great formulas. So either of those are what you want to do. And I want to point out one more time, just that base and height are forming that right angle and that they are connecting that right angle. So on this one, if I look at this right angle, here's my base, here's my height. So they form at that right angle. That's where they're meeting. Okay. Over here, it's this height here, and there's my base. And on the last one, here's my base, here's my height over here. This, of course, is that dotted line. So 1/2 base times height. So we are going to throw some distractor numbers at you that aren't the numbers you want. So be really, really careful that your height and your base are connected, that they're forming that right angle. They are perpendicular to each other. So here's the first three. So we know what we're using for our triangle formula. And it should be something that you've done already in a different math class. This is not the first time you've seen this formula. Base times height divided by 2. So the way that this one's written out, it looks like my area is going to be, my base is 9, my height is 8. So 9 times 8 divided by 2. And 9 times 8 is 72 divided by 2, which is going to give us 36 inches squared. So the first one should be inches squared. So we do have to make sure that we work with the right units. And when we do area, it's going to be units squared. On the next one, we're going to multiply base times height again, divide by 2. So on this one, my base is the 12, and they give me three different numbers. So let's see if we can use those clues from what we did earlier. So here's my base. Here's my right angle. So the one that's connecting to my base by that right angle, the height is going to be 7. So the 9 is like my distractor number that I don't need to use. So this is going to be base is 12, height is 7 divided by 2. And 12 times 7 is 84. 84 divided by 2 is 42. So we're going to end up with 42, and it's whatever our units are squared. So meters times meters would be meters squared. So that's how we get that square there, because we're literally multiplying meters times more meters. When you multiply something by itself, we square it. On the last one, I know that this should really be a dotted line out here, but we can only do so much sometimes with these computer diagrams. So let's see on this one, I've kind of already given it away. Here is my right angle. Oops, moving my paper all over. And my right angle is up to this 11 here. That's going to be my height, and my base is going to be 15. So you could think about extending a dotted line out here and how my base and my height are making a right angle. So area is going to be base times height divided by 2. You do not have to write out the formula every single time, but when I'm trying to memorize something new, I'll write it out, which is going to be 15 times 11 divided by 2. That is, let's see, 165 divided by 2, which is 82.5. And this one is centimeters, so centimeters squared. So last problem is a little bit different. This time they're saying find the height. So that means we're going to be solving for h. And in my diagram, I can see an h right here. So I'm going to put a little question mark by it. That's what I'm looking for. Of the triangle given, that the area is 39 square inches. So this time I have area equals 39. I've got a base that's 13. And my height is what I am looking for. So if I think about area equals base times height divided by 2, well, then I would have 39 equals base is 13 times height divided by 2. And then our trick on this is that we might not, like that 13 I can't divide by 2. So a way to get around that is to go ahead and multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So, or sorry, not by the reciprocal, but by this denominator. I guess I could do reciprocal too, but I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 2, because if I'm dividing by 2 and multiplying by 2, that's going to make a factor of 1. And on my other side, 2 times 39 is 78. So right now I have 78 equals 13h. So it's a way to just kind of get rid of the fraction, is what we're trying to do. My last solving step is going to be dividing both sides by 13. And 78 divided by 13 is 6. So 6 will be my height. And then we do want to go back and figure out our units. So we had inches here, so it'll be 6 inches for our height. So please, if you have any questions, ask about them in class. I know we didn't spend a lot of time on where this formula comes from. I kind of hope in another math class before you've talked about how if a rectangle is base times height and a triangle is half of that, it's 1/2 base times height. I'm really counting on you having already seen that before. This should be a familiar thing. It's just kind of a refresher. I think these problems here where you've given lots of different numbers and you've got to find the base and height can make it a little more challenging. And then these ones at the end where you're given the